feel like a loser. I feel like I'm lost. I feel like I'm not sure if I feel anything at all.
What is a person? What is good and evil? What is beauty? And what is a meaningful life? These are questions that we've discussed in great detail in class this year. We believe that a meaningful life is helping others and living your life to the best of your ability.
In each of our units, we were given many philosophical questions. We will answer a few of these questions and hopefully gain more insight into the world around us. We will be talking about the controversy surrounding personhood, good and evil, beauty, and what a meaningful life is.
The question of personhood is a very complex one. What is a person and what that means has been debated for many years. There was a period of time where women were not considered persons and therefore had fewer rights, for example. Many philosophers have spent many years coming up with their own ideas of what makes a person.
John Locke is one philosopher who spent many years coming up with a criteria for what makes up a person. John Locke defined a person as a thinking, intelligent being that has reason and reflection and can consider itself as itself, the same thinking thing in different times and places, which it does only by the consciousness which is inseparable from thinking. He also had 5 ingredients that he believed made up a person. These ingredients are rationality, thought, consciousness, self-consciousness, and self-identity.
Based on his definition, many human beings would not be considered persons, and non-humans might in fact be considered persons. That is the point that we will be discussing today. Can animals and machines be considered persons? Another philosopher, however, had a different definition for what makes up a person. Daniel Dennett defined a person as someone who has rationality, conscious mental states, and intentionality, being the subject of a special stance or attitude of regard by other persons, reciprocating this person-regarding stance, the capacity for verbal communication, and self-consciousness. Based on this definition, machines and animals would have a harder time being considered persons because society would not define them as such. At the same time, many humans with disabilities would also be considered non-persons. Not only humans with disabilities, but also small children, for they do not meet all of the requirements that both philosophers have set.
We believe that machines and animals can in fact be considered persons. We agree most with Locke because he does not believe you have to be viewed by society as a person. We believe this because we think that it is possible for a machine or animal to have the mental capacity to be considered a person. When looking at the movie Bicentennial Man, he was a robot who had the full capacity to be considered a person. He was able to think rationally, he could think to begin with, he was conscious to the world around him, and he was able to tell who he was and that he existed. In this case, a machine could in fact be considered a person.
This helps us determine what a meaningful life is because we all want to live our lives to the fullest, and for us, knowledge is a huge part of that. Learning everything that we can is really important, and using words like person is great if we know what they really mean. We can now use the word with a little more understanding than we did before. This unit was really helpful in teaching us the importance of knowing what we are actually saying.
A philosophical question that we were asked to think about this semester was the question of whether or not acts can only be good or evil. So is murder always evil? Is donating to a charity always good? We believe that there is no one act that could be always considered good or always considered evil. Most acts are simply victims of circumstance. One theory that helps explain this is the theory of utilitarianism. This theory means that all acts should be the greatest good for the greatest number and was created by John Stuart Mill. This theory helps support our position because it means that murder could be justified if it were to save more people than it would hurt. For example, if we needed to kill one man to save 30 children, that would be considered good in the eyes of someone who believes in utilitarianism.
Another theory that helps to support our position is the theory of the categorical imperative, which was created by Immanuel Kant. This theory states that an act should be based on its intention rather than its consequences. This helps support our position because an act might have very good intentions, such as robbing a store to feed your family, and therefore would be considered a good act, but robbery is generally frowned upon. Another example would be a huge corporation who is donating to charity to clean their money. Donating to charity is generally seen as a good act, but if the intention is bad, then according to the categorical imperative, it would be an evil act. No act is always good or always evil, but all are victims of circumstance. This relates back to what a meaningful life is. Because part of our definition is doing as much good as we can. In order to do good, we must understand what good is.
I hate where I'm at, acting crazy like.
Beauty is a very controversial topic. What is beauty? Is beauty subjective or objective? These were all questions that were posed to us this semester. The most interesting part for us to try and answer was the question of whether or not beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We vehemently believe that beauty is in fact in the eye of the beholder. One theory that helps us explain our position is the theory of cultural relativism. This theory states that different cultures have different views on what is beauty. Women in Africa add rings to their necks to make them seem longer, and that is what is seen as beautiful. Here, however, we believe that being as skinny as possible is what is seen as beautiful. In other countries, you want to be obese because it shows that you have money. But time also has a lot to do with what is seen as beautiful. At one time, being pale was considered beautiful because it meant you did not have to work outdoors. Beauty is most definitely in the eye of the beholder.
Another question that interested us greatly was the question of what is art. Many philosophers have very different views on what art is. Plato, for instance, believes that art should be realistic as possible, whereas Aristotle believed that art should be used to teach morals and be judged purely for art's sake. We believe that art should convey a personal emotion and that anything can be considered art, even if it is not beautiful art. We do not believe that art should be fully censored, however, sometimes things need to be kept from certain age groups, such as movie ratings. What is beauty relates directly to a meaningful life because it helps us find purpose in our own lives. If we can utilize the knowledge of what beauty is, then we can add meaning and happiness to our lives.
The last unit of the semester was the question of what exactly is a meaningful life. The questions for this unit all had wildly different answers because they were all so personal. The questions we are going to tackle are questions such as, who do you admire most and how do they live your idea of a meaningful life, and do we create our own meaning? Those are both very interesting questions that shed amazing light on the type of person someone is.
The person I admire most is someone who managed to go from basically nothing to living it up in Hollywood without forgetting who he is. His name is Darren Criss. He uploaded a video of himself and a group of friends doing a musical called The Harry Potter Musical to YouTube in 2009. This musical was created using a $25 budget, so it's not surprising there were technical issues like this.
We already know about it. Listen, Malfoy, it's not that big of a deal. Can we just look for some Horcruxes, please? Roger. Oh. This thing of pencils and Horcrux? No, that's not Horcrux. Nope. Is this Horcrux? Nope.
Powdered donuts?
Nope. Those are snacks. Those are Horcrux? You're trying to get it. Ah! This could take forever. There's so many things in this room. But the only thing of real value, that Zephron poster.
This video grabbed the attention of nerdy girls everywhere, and so an internet celebrity was born. He auditioned for Glee, and after cutting his hair, managed to secure the role of Blaine Anderson. He managed to take what he loved to do and make it his career. While on Glee, he still managed to keep his theater company called Star Kid going strong. A few of their musicals include A Harry Potter Musical, A Harry Potter Sequel, and most recently, Holy Musical Batman. This summer, they are touring on something called the Apocalypse Tour. On top of all this work, he still managed to be incredibly charitable. Every year, fans of Star Kid come together and do a huge charity live stream. He tries to be there, and if he cannot, he makes sure to call in and give some of his stuff to donate. It is absolutely incredible that he managed to go from this to this. He fulfills what we call a meaningful life because he manages to do what he loves, help people, and live his life to the fullest.
The other question we are answering is the question of whether or not we create our own meaning. We both believe that we do, in fact, create our own meaning because everyone has a different view on what meaning actually is. While we may think that having meaning means helping others, other people may think that it means having the big car and all the money. Everybody thinks they are meaningful because of different reasons, and because of that, everyone has to create their own idea of meaning.
This semester was very informative, and we learned a lot about a number of different topics. We learned what a person is, what is good and evil, what beauty is, and what exactly a meaningful life is. We learned more about ourselves as we were asked the tough questions and had to spend a lot of time thinking about what we really thought. Overall, this class was great because by learning all of the different units, we learned about what we really want out of life. Our versions of what a meaningful life is differed, but being asked that question helped give us meaning.